My name is David Feldman. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for coming. This is a theoretical paper, and the math relative to my other paper is very simple. So, and also you might not be interested in the math. I will de-emphasize the math. There's a lot of slides, so you see the math. I will not talk much about it. I'll talk about the essence. The message in the paper is big. So we start with Milton Friedman. Who will keep the time for me? Tell me like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. This statement in the Essays of Positive Economics changes the world of research. Truly important and significant hypotheses will be found to have assumptions that are widely inaccurate, descriptive representation of reality. In general, the more significant the theory, the more unrealistic the assumptions in this sense. Which means a good theoretical modeling simplifies and throws away all the details that do not compromise the outcome. And what is the good outcome? Good positive analysis, understanding what happens, and good forecasting ability. Now, however, if you throw out the assumption that compromise the outcome, you're dead. For example, stock option under constant interest rate versus bond option under constant interest rate. It's okay for the bond, it's okay for the stocks, Black and Scholes, but assuming for bond, there are no options. So you have to implement it correctly. That's the point, implementation. Well, what's that? That happens in, not too far from here, Kiev. Gareth Bale is about to score a winning goal in the UEFA Champions League. I presented it once and there was a Spanish guy. He started going, Spain, Gareth Bale played for Real Madrid. The guy was from Madrid. So the paper was not matter, but this picture was a winner for him. What happens? A camera looks at it on the field and then it becomes a digital sequence. The digital sequence does not capture everything in the picture, but some of it. And it's noisy too. Well, what do you do with that? You need to go to take this digital sequence and deliver it to your home in Toulouse or in Sydney. And when you deliver it, you mount it on a vehicle. The vehicle can be electromagnetic field, fiber optics, whatever. And it arrives in the destination and it has another digital sequence, another truncation, not infinite resolution, and another noise. And then you demount it. You have to demount it into your local amplifier, and then you display it again on your TV. And guess what? Fantastic picture, you see. The resolution could be much better than your eyes can determine. What's the point? The point that in science, the quality of the outcome is observable. Unlike in economics and that. So in outcome, the quality is observable, still subject to agency issues. So sometimes, despite you see that, the decision of the profession is the opposite. For us, the outcome is not directly observable. It's assessed by a committee. Editors, and the editors have to look up to those who appoint them, and the decisions are affected. Subject to 3 impossibility theorem and agency issues. The 3 impossibility theorem is Kenneth Arrow's, which says for 3 people, there's no representation of preferences that doesn't violate major requirements. For Gibbard and Satterthwaite, there's no choice elections. There's no election that can be formed for 3 or more people without violating major requirement. And for Holmstrom, it's no corporation can have both balance the budget, has an equilibrium and Pareto efficient. Nash equilibrium, not the detailed equilibrium, just Nash. These are the references. And, well, science outcome observability not always helps. Linus Pauling came out with a dissertation in 1925, crystals are symmetric, and became God. He was such a big god of the profession, they gave him another Nobel Prize for peace, because they couldn't give him another Nobel Prize in chemistry. So in 1982, only 30 years later, a guy found in an electronic microscope, post-doc, that crystal has no symmetry. So a war started, and Linus Pauling said there's no such thing as quasi-crystal, they're quasi-scientists. When you make quasi-crystal, you make quasi-symmetric crystal. And then Linus Pauling passed away in 2018. So from 1982 to 2018, Shechtman was denied, rejected, humiliated, but he stood by. And only 7 years after all Linus Pauling proteges went away from the committees, then Shechtman got the Nobel Prize. And when he got the Nobel Prize, many scientists said, yes, we saw it too. What's the problem to look at the microscope? And then they also looked at holograms. Well, they squeaked. They kept quiet all the years. They didn't say Shechtman is right, don't deny in tenure, let's progress with this research. No, they blocked it, they didn't say anything, they came out later. So this is Shechtman and this is Linus Pauling. Shechtman was lucky to stay alive, otherwise he wouldn't get the Nobel. Max Planck came out with the theory in 1900, he waited only 18 years, and he said, science progresses one funeral at a time. But the point is, I thought one funeral at a time, but I was wrong. It took 7 years after the funeral to get it at. So the asset pricing point to consider. Real-world relevant variable like dynamic. Real-world fundamentals are unobservable. Real-world pricing kernels portfolio are not mean variance efficient, except for knife edge places.